All right, there I am. I'm still a real human being, not just a voice. I got a GoPro balanced on this cheap little tripod I bought in Bangkok. What am I doing today? Whew, too much sun. Did lots of swimming. Lots of catching up on current events. What a shit show going on in the world today, huh? Not a shit show, it's always been a shit show, but the shit that's going down currently around the globe due to the U.S. change of government. It's pretty wild to watch. I watched a guy, I forget the name of the channel. There's a channel on Instagram. Was it Real Celebrity something? Some new law enforcement channel. Why do I forget these things? But anyway, they're showing these guys, these dirt bags, scumbags in some American cities. Guy from Haiti, illegal immigrant from Haiti, just spewing hate and blah, blah, blah. I'm not going back to Haiti, and freaking out. And he'd been busted on everything 17 times and let go because of some kind of sanctuary, something I don't know they came up with. Selling heroin, assault, robbery, the whole 9 yards, 17 times. And the poor police officers had to keep finding him on the street again. But now they grabbed him, and it's like, uh-oh, you're not getting out now. And he's leaving. They're throwing him back to whatever shithole he originated from. And he's going to have to make his life better there and not bring his disgusting crap here, right? And then they went to the next guy's place. They got another one. Same thing, another one guy selling heroin. Bunch of other shit. And they got him, threw him in the paddy wagon, and they got another one, collateral, at the same place he was at. And it's just going, I couldn't imagine what it must feel like for those law enforcement officers who kept letting those monsters go nonstop, right? We're talking monsters. Anybody bringing up families and kids and children? I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those criminal, filthy, disgusting rat spawn that have found sanctuary in North America, selling drugs, stealing things, raping people, killing people, just disgusting dogs. And they're getting rounded up like feral cats, thrown into a box, a cage, and they're getting shipped back where they came from. Oh my God, how good is that? If anybody thinks there's something wrong with that, maybe you should go with them. Anyway, I was just watching that this morning, getting a kick out of it, thinking, holy shit, I could watch these arrests all day long. Those cops must feel like bird dogs in the opening morning of duck season. Right now. They just can't wait to go get the next one, right? Now, what else? What else? Lots of voices. I'm craving home big time. I'm not sure, I don't know, I don't even know what the date is. I'm not quite sure how much longer we're going to be here, but I'm missing home. Miss my dog. I want to go fishing. I want to go in the woods. I want to videotape stuff in the woods and fishing and hunting. And I want to go hunting. But we're really, it's good, healthy time here. What else? I'll share you something cool I did yesterday that I love doing. One more quick little share. It's all good. Good story. There's like a fresh water, it's a lake, but it's out here, I don't know, a quarter mile behind us, and it's surrounded by a concrete like pathway all the way around it. And I think it's 5.5 kilometer walk. We do it every day after go to the gym. And there's a whole bunch of weird fish in there. And you'll get some of these elderly Thai women, they got the big straw hats on for shade, they're all bundled up, and they got a long bamboo rod with a line off of it, and they got a little bucket, they're losing grubs for bait, and they're catching these little fish. I've watched them a few times. And there's these other fish that look like little dinosaurs. They come up from the bottom and go for oxygen and die back down. They're all over the place. We're not seeing anybody catching them. And then I saw some other carp-like fish, you know, like 8 inches, a 10-incher. I think I seen a 10-incher floating dead. It looked like a pretty good one. And then we see there's 2 spots where the fresh water flows in underneath the concrete walkway into this brown water lake. And you'll see small fish like that just scooting out from underneath the bridge area when we walk over it. I don't know what those are, but a 3-inch long fish. And then I saw another fish going after him. It looked like it was about that big. Anyway, I'm just trying to say, because people are going to go, what are they catching? This is all I know. And then there's a lot of people that walk around the thing. There's these handful of people who sit there with their buckets of bait, their lunch, bundled right up to block themselves from the sunshine, and a wide hat and a long bamboo pole, like with no fishing reel. Just dip it in with a tiny little bobber and I catch a little fish. So there's that flavor of angler. And then yesterday about 5 o'clock, we're walking around, got around at the halfway mark, and here's 3 Asian boys, 3 Thai boys, I believe. And they all got fishing rods with reels. And they look like their ages maybe 10 to 14, 3 of them. And of course me, I'm like, I'm excited because that was me, right? That was me when I was a kid. And I'm standing there watching them going, fish, you got a fish? He's like, no. I go, come on, get it out there, I want to see. And they had these weird little pink lures on with a lead weight tied to it. I'm like, I don't know if they're going to catch anything with those suckers, but they're having fun. And then the parents came down on their scooter right while we were standing there with them. And they're very friendly, and they had a great big spread out. They spread out a big mat, and they had food and everything and drinks for the kids, and they're having a family moment on the side of the lake, right? It's cool to see. I didn't see any fish caught. So off we go, carrying along, very frustrated that I can't talk to anybody smoothly. And then we were on the final stretch. I look up and I go, what are those guys doing? And here's this dad with his son. His son looked to be maybe, I don't know, 10? And dad was a little bit rough. And he's obviously, and he had this real shitty scooter, like a real bad one, parked there. And he's with his little boy. And they've got Coke bottles, empty plastic Coke bottles with line wrapped on them. And then whatever they're using. And the little boy lowered him down to get next to the shore and underneath this bush. And the little boy's trying to throw this line and hook out there. And he's squatting down in his sandals watching him. And it just took me back, like that when I was a boy. Like I mentioned my grandfather on here. It's not my true blood grandfather. My grandfather's died when I was very young. One of my grandfathers died. I wasn't even born yet. He died. And my Norwegian grandfather, he died when I was about 4 or something. So I grew up, when I started to fish, before who I consider my true grandfather came into my life when I was probably, I don't know, he must have came into my life when I was 10 or something, or 8. But before that, we had my buddy, my childhood best friend, living up the road. All we had was spools of line with a tiny hook. And we'd steal nuts and bolts of our dad's garages for weights and shit. We'd hike all the way down to the dock. And we get these little pile worms and barnacles and shit off the dock and bait them up and throw lines out with just a spool of line and catch perch. And it just took me back to then, you know what I mean? And how much I would have done. I would have ate a shit sandwich for a fishing rod then. And I'm looking at this pair, and we carried on walking along, and I said to Sarah, oh my God, oh, wouldn't it be great to be able to buy those two frickin' fishing rod, right? A couple fishing rods. And then I remember, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I think I saw a fishing store, because the dentist we go to is on the other side is just right there through the trees. So the lake's on the right, the walkway facing that way, and then the strip of trees and shit, and there's a road over there. And that's the road our dentist is on. And I remember walking by a little shop, I had fishing reels and shit in the window. And I'm like, let's go. I had a few of their money called baht, not dollars, baht, in my pocket. I'm like, I don't even know if I got enough to buy a fish rod. I haven't a clue. Let's go see what they got. And we hiked out there, ran down, made it to the road, and double back on the road, and it was open. I'm like, yes, walked in there. And there was 2 rods in the racks. They had like bigger reels, just like we would use for tuna or halibut, all the way down to trout rods. And I guess there's ocean fishing here, obviously. So, and I had 2 $1,000 baht bills, which is about $46 each, and a couple of $100 ones, which is $4 and change. I'm like, I didn't even know how much a rod's going to cost. I have a clue. And I saw 1 rod with a reel on it. And I go, how much is this? And she was 750 baht. 750 baht. I'm like, oh, no line on it. I'm like, oh, shit. I was going to buy it anyway and get the line, but I was afraid I was going to miss these guys, and they disappeared before I made it back there, and I'd be stuck with these rods, right? And then I went around the corner, and there was a whole rack of fishing rods, and there was 2 rods exactly the same with 2 decent-sized trout reels on them with line. There they are. How much for these? 500 baht. Like, sold! Grabbed those rods, flipped her the note, and I'm like, I was almost running ahead of Sarah. I'm like, come on, we got to a place. I hope they're still there. And then we had to go back down the road across this little walkway, dirt path through the forest, get to the concrete walkway, and then we're going back up along that lake. And sure enough, I see them. I go, they're still here. Yes. Because I just seen yourself, you know, when you're a kid down there, and he's got this dad, they got nothing. And then there's other kids who got fishing rods and picnics and everything right over there. So anyway, they're sitting there squatting there with their Coke bottles, and we went walking up to them. They're both kind of looking at me like, huh? Because we just walked by them, and I still had the new tags on the fishing rods. I just walked up and I go, here you go, boys. And they're looking at me, what? I go, they're yours. Here, take the rods. And that little boy let out this squeal giggle looking at his dad, and this squeal giggle came out of him like the best, because he could tell the kid was keen. He wanted to fish. He was down there in the weeds and trying to get his line off of his Coke bottle, throw it out there, and he was focused. You know what I mean? He wasn't just there doing a thing because he's supposed to do with his dad or something. He was keen. And I said to Sarah, I go, if I was that little boy, I would have ate a shit sandwich for something like this to happen. When I was that little boy that's full on. And then it was pretty cool. I just left it to him. Gave it to him, turned around, walked away, and then you hear the kid yelled something at me again. I turned around, I just gave him the 2 thumbs up. Go get him. Massive smile on his head. There you go. That's my story, my feel-good story. Doesn't take much to be kind, you guys. You know what I mean? It doesn't take much to be kind and help people. Now, we're going to try to walk by there again the same time this evening, because I get a feeling if they can, they're going to be fishing. I want to see if they got it, what they got rigged up, and if it's working. Now, here we go. Tired of trying to find B-roll. Let's have a look at yesterday's B-roll. Do you remember this? Do you remember this spot? I took everybody to the spot on the side of the mountain, the sea to sky, and found those 4 logs, side of a mountain. The nearest road from there, I don't even know. Side of the mountain, and those 4 logs, all side of the mountain, leaned out. We can see it in the video. I wonder if they're still there. I'd imagine they're still there. Maybe I should go back up there one time and see, but that's something else, isn't it? How do you explain that one? Not that I need too much input on what happened there, but anyway, excuse me. Let's get into it. Why no public acknowledgement? Let's hear what you got to say. Knowledge is power. Thinking from this standpoint, if you live your life in a way requiring nothing from state or government, you are a real threat to the persons yielding power over others. Bingo. Plane taking off. Pretty loud, huh? I don't know when they leave, every 20 minutes or something. Example is the best teacher. Sabe, just by existing, tells people states and governments are hiding knowledge, which, if disseminated, would erode severely control and power over others. With the amount of time and energy being confiscated from the average individual, I believe, in my humble opinion, the major governments of the world are supporting a breakaway civilization, developed on knowledge that was rediscovered from a previous civilization, which fell not from one-off event, but rather cyclical extinction events, which occur as a form of reset. Now, I know that sounds really out there, but if science, archaeology, biology are constrained to one path, it stands to reason that certain individuals are hoarding knowledge and confusing other paths to continue supporting the machinations of these individuals. End of email. I think, you know what? I think I would tend to agree with you quite a bit on that myself. I learned some significant information on our country and the ties to England, which are still very real. I knew it. I fucking knew it too. Deep in my gut, all those years, ever since I flipped Queen Elizabeth and her husband, the Bird, when I was in high school from 10 feet away. I knew then, I know now. My gut's right. And I put that link to that video in the community page in this channel. And anybody from Canada, please, please, please watch that video. And if you don't want to watch it, please share it with a bunch of people that might. It's very important on that note. Appreciate that email, man. Keep the wheels turning. And don't be shy about emailing me back either. Who's next? Sabe and energy manipulation. That'll be the little refrigerator kicking in beside me. You know me and my side noises, my background noises that bug me. Sabe and energy manipulation. Hello, Stephen, the How to Hunt family. I was listening to your recent share on YouTube, and it was about infrasound. I had some speculations about the Sabe and some incidents in my own personal experiences. First, let me say that it is my personal belief that it starts and ends with energy. The human body is chemical, electrical in nature, and in my opinion, we send and receive energy in many ways. I have walked into a room empty where a minute before there was a massive argument. I could feel the depressive energy, anger, and hatred. Second, I occasionally listen to AM radio, and when tuning into a station, the station with more power overrides the weaker station. Sabe, being partly human and much more massive, would send a stronger signal that we would receive. And as to the reason why hatred or anger, this could possibly be due to other people's actions. It has been found that some Sabe are radioactive, possibly due to environmental contamination, underground habitation, contaminated water supply, portal travel, who knows? On a way out their theory, what if some Sabe travel through portals to our world, leaving behind a world where us humans had a massive nuclear war creating an extinction level event? These Sabe would hate and kill humans and have a preoccupation with our nuclear sites, while Sabe, coming from a Earth where humans are even more advanced spiritually, would confuse them, since many people have not achieved this yet. Just some ruminations from a gray-haired man. Very interesting. Very interesting. Thoughts to chew on. Right? I love it when people's wheels are turning and they share. Love it. Sounds very plausible to me. And I don't know why, but I just remembered something, and you're going to find this interesting, all right? Somewhat on that note, a little bit off, to let you know about weird connections, feelings, knowledge, sensory, whatever you want to call it. So, I know of a family in Williams Lake, the Lays, L-A-Y-S, 1, 2, 3 generations of the most insanely talented predator hunters I've ever met in my existence, ever. You'll never find skilled people like this ever again. I took their very detailed and extensive wolf trapping course with a handful of other guys. And the shit that I heard and listened to these guys, and other guys who came from Alberta, BC, from all over the place to learn, improve their skills, a native guy from Alberta. Now listen to this one. They said, with wolves, amongst a shit pile of other things, but here's some things that'll interest you, guaranteed. So they said, if you are going to go trap wolves and you have some shit going on, meaning whatever, you have conflict on the go, you're messed up in the head, you're emotionally distraught, fighting, going through divorce, addiction, whatever, you've got some issues. They said, don't even try to go trap them. Leave. Don't even try it. Sort your shit out and then come back on a good day. And I'm listening to this going, what? Huh? They also said, and I got more, I'm going to tap in more on that in a minute. And they also said, if you're driving up the logging road and you can see, which I've done, or they said if you're driving, if you can drive and you're trapping wolves and you're driving up the logging road in your truck, to check on a bait pile or check on sets, wolf trapping sets that you can see from your vehicle. They said, if you drive up there and then unroll your window and look and continue on, They said just from that the wolves will know something is up right there. And they'll start looking and they'll find your set. They know you're up to no good. I'm thinking, huh? And then they said, if you want your window open, you have to unroll your window from the time you leave the highway or whatever, and you have to leave your window of your vehicle open the whole way to make consistent with your energy. Whatever it is we're giving off, make it consistent so that you're not tipping the wolves off to you doing something right there. How amazing is that? And then a native guy chimed in, a native guy from Alberta, seasoned, experienced wolf trapper who came to take this advanced course. And he goes, oh yeah, back before I got sober, he said if I was like hung right over or still kind of messed up or blah, blah, blah. He said that he would catch X amount of wolves normally. And then the 1 year he lost the plot to substance abuse and he didn't catch nothing. He didn't catch any. He's just a mess that year. He was a mess that year. Didn't catch nothing. And then he got clean, sobered up, and everything went back on track again. Caught wolves. And no, you're not doing anything different. Setting a snare, setting a foot traps, there's no different versions. You're going to do it. You've done it before. You're successful. You know how to do it right. That's how you're doing it. But it's really amazing. And the more I listened to the original guys, the delays teaching this course, the more I realized this is factual and they were absolutely legitimate with their findings. It was very, very interesting. So emotionally, if you're distraught, somehow, if something's off between your ears while you're out there going after these guys and doing your thing in the woods, you're leaving something there, or you're bringing something there into the woods where they are as well. And they can detect it. They've proven this. How amazing is that? Now, what is going on there? And the slightest event, driving a frickin' diesel pickup truck, blowing out diesel exhaust on the logging road, and you unroll your window halfway down to stare at a spot where you've got sets, and then roll up and carry on, and that's enough to let them know you're up to something no good. What? That's just a wolf. Right? That's just a wolf. What can these people do? What should we be able to do? You know? But what can these people do? And if they could teach us all those skills, like I said, how those scumbag government people deal with that. Well, they couldn't, right? Now, what do we got here? This looks like a longer one. Almost as long as my babble. Don't know what it's about. We're going to go in. Childhood memories. Hi, Steve. Your channel randomly found me one day a few months ago when I was sick in a bed. A rare occurrence, thankfully. I'd never listened to any Bigfoot channel or documentary before. Not because I didn't believe. It was more because I moved away from the woods in the 3rd grade and have lived in a seaside resort areas ever since. Bigfoot just doesn't come up. I don't imagine Bigfoot goes to the beach much. The stories you read seem to confirm they prefer a wooded environment, while, most likely, capable of living anywhere we can, assuming they can find food. The very first story I heard you read, my jaw dropped. I was hooked. You have a fabulous voice for storytelling and a great delivery style. Thank you for the compliment. The story was from a man who loved to fish at night at this public park. He told of the huge rocks being thrown deep in the lake. Then he mentioned a group of voices conversing, but he couldn't make out the words. It was like a bunch of foreigners partying in the woods, coming from the far side of the lake. I forgot the words he used to describe it, but that was my jaw-dropping moment. His story continued with the noises coming closer. Then the eerie silence, the race for the vehicle in a state of panic, and then the god-awful, much too loud scream from the woods. That was my first real exposure to another human's experience with a Bigfoot. Now I was hooked. I've been listening almost every day since, picking up clues with every story. And then another listener wrote in about going into the woods and inviting the Sabi to come visit so they could worship the great creator together. proving true the old adage, be careful what you wish for. However, his description of the worship he heard was fascinating to me. Again, I don't remember his words, but it described perfectly what I used to hear almost every night as a child. And suddenly, like a light being flipped on, I connected a bunch of dots of what I had previously considered to be random childhood memories of weird things. Brief background. Everything I'm about to relate happened in the early 70s. I was between the ages of 4 and 8. My family lived in a large metal building in the Lakes region of New Hampshire. I think, NH, New Hampshire. A long, skinny parcel of land between the woods and the road was our play area. And in the back of the building, we had about 40 feet of dirt yard. Then the forested land sloped steeply down to a small babbling brook before rising sharply again on the other side and stretching away forever. We were allowed to play in the gully, but no further than the bank. My mother told us that monsters lived in the woods beyond the brook. If we went on their side, they could get us. Sorry. In her mind, it was the only way to keep her inquisitive, impulsive, oblivious children from wandering into the woods and either getting shot by a hunter in deer season or getting lost while she worked. My dad had built us a tree swing at the top of the gully's edge. A big plank of wood and 2 ropes. You had to really pump to get that sucker going. But once you did, it was like flying. It was a commitment, but once you got it swinging good, you soared up miles from the ground into the treetops, or so it felt to my little body. I loved that swing. I would spend hours on it, swinging away and happily chattering to all the creatures in the woods, even the monsters. I would tell stories, I would sing, I would just babble away, expressing the pure joy of an innocent, happy child, chitter-chattering to any and all wildlife that could stand to be near me. My plan was to befriend the forest creatures, so then I could safely go explore with them. And as you can imagine, I never so much as befriended a squirrel. I'm now beginning to think that my caterwauling may have been what attracted the possible attention to begin with. I had 3 brushes with what I now think may have been a sabe or 2. The giant's footprint. I was waiting for the school bus on a bitter cold morning in the middle of winter. I was in 2nd grade, so 7 years old. The plows had come through multiple times. Our large parking lot was cleared, as was the lot across the street on the road itself. I waited. As I waited, I was practicing my balancing skills on top of the plow pile, and I noticed a huge, perfectly imprinted, bare footprint nestled down into the flat space between the 2 piles near the mailbox. It had 5 toes, not much of an arc, and was perfectly indented 3 to 6 inches in the snow. Going back in time to judge size is difficult. Being practical, the space between the parking lot and the road was probably 6 to 10 feet. Each plow line would be an easy 2 to 3 feet of disturbed snow, leaving 2 to 4 feet of undisturbed snow. And in memory, this print took up most, if not all, that space. And in my mind, I want to say 4 feet. I remember thinking I could have fit in it if I laid down in it to make a snow angel. But that's just too big for me to even contemplate. I mean, how tall would that make the owner of that footprint? That's a legit question. I looked around for other prints and realized the plow would have messed them up. They must have come up from our woods, across the parking lot, across the street, and into the woods behind the furniture store across the street. I surmised it would have had to suck under the power lines, because in my mind the prints made by one huge giant. Oh, I get it. Sorry, I read it. I surmised it would have had to have sucked under the power lines, because in my mind the prints made by one huge giant. Punctuation the odd time, right? I didn't know about the Bigfoot at the time, but I had read Jack and the Beanstalk. Giants had become very real to me at that point, as did all the rest of the fairy creatures. If giants existed, then so too fairies, elves, gnomes, dragons, and monsters. Fairy parties. My bedroom was in the front of the building. Bright lights that lit the huge covered sign out front, advertising our building's wares, shone through the front window and lit up the wall across from my bed. Beneath my window was the roof to the walkway from the parking lot to the shop doors. The road was probably 30 feet from my front window. Between the ages of 4 and 8, on too many occasions to count, I would be awoken to the sounds of a loud, festive gathering. The house would be dead quiet except for the chitter-chattering of many voices. What I came to associate with fairies. I could hear them just outside my window, like a large tea party going on. Many voices, songs, laughter, some clinking and chattering, even music. I could never make out the words, but I could clearly hear them having a grand old party right outside my window. They were loud too. This is no whispering. It was a festive party every time in the middle of the night. It wasn't scary. It was a pleasant noise, and I never felt a bit afraid. A bit sad I couldn't be a part of it. I would listen eventually, falling back to sleep, trying to make out the words while watching the shadows on the wall, straining to make out a fairy in the moving shadows. I eventually gave up trying to go look. They got quiet when I started to move, only starting up again when I laid back quietly. I would strain to make out the voices, drifting pleasantly back into sleep, like a lullaby, feeling heavy and drowsy. No one else ever heard them, but their bedrooms were on the other side of the house. The terror. On too many other occasions I count, I was awoken by something entirely different. It's almost like I was being awoken by fear itself. I would wake up, unable to move, literally frozen in fear to my bed, knowing if I so much as even breathed, the monster would get me. I don't remember ever seeing anything but scary shadows on the wall. In my head I heard breathing over the thudding of my heart, immobilizing terror. I don't remember ever falling back asleep. I would just wake up later with the sun shining. I think I may have literally passed out from not breathing. I remember recurring scary dreams of hiding from monstrous giants. I'd wake up from those terrified too, but in a different way. Those were dream scary. In dream scary, once you wake up, you know you're safe. In the other, there was no dream. I would just wake up absolutely frozen in fear, knowing I was in mortal danger. It wasn't until I started listening to your channel and the reports of others that I put it all together as possible Sabe experiences. I asked my brother if he remembered anything weird, and he said he too had the paralyzing fear at night. Waking from a deep sleep paralyzed with terror, no memory of a dream attached to the fear. And since we moved from the woods to the beach, neither one of us had that terrorizing, immobilizing, unable to even breathe fear. After listening to all your stories, I don't think that's a coincidence. Me neither. In the scheme of all the stories, mine isn't the most impressive, but you all have released my mind to freely speculate on such matters without fear of ridicule. I'm not the only one. These things exist. Hoping my experience adds something to the puzzle for someone. And I thank all of you at the round table for sharing, and thank you, Steve, for reading. I'm fascinated that we are sharing the planet with another Homo sapiens species that's not only missing from the public sphere entirely, but has also been actively suppressed and ridiculed. Why? What don't they want us to know about ourselves and our history? Just another example of them distorting our history in the quest for complete dominion. Graham Hancock refers to us as a species with amnesia. I really wonder what the Sabe can tell us about our own history. And I really, really, really wonder what skills we have that the powers to be are actively suppressing. You and me both. I find myself pondering these mysteries daily. I'd love to have the balls to invite them over for a visit and talk human/Sabe history, but like that other inquisitive writer, they'd show up and I'd freak the F out, LOL. I mean, it could be the scary one that answers the call, right? Yeah, right? Or something else. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say we've been sharing this planet for a very long time, possibly since the beginning of our time here, some 200 to 300,000 years ago, and I would also bet that the long-lost giant skeletons sent to the Smithsonian in the 1800s that have subsequently disappeared could shed some light on the situation. You think? Sabe in the Vatican, in the 1500s by none other than Michelangelo blew me away. I'm also inclined to think the whole Sumerian creation story may be connected to both our species. And Edgar Cayce mentions something in one of his readings on Atlantis that may be a connection as well. So many rabbit holes, so little time, and now they mention sky people. Holy crap. What the heck kind of world do we really live in? Right? I'm a complete novice on this journey, given my location in Southwest Florida, beachside. I doubt I'll have any more Sabe interactions, but like you, Steve, once you have accepted the reality of the situation, how can you not be curious and driven to find out what the F's going on? Big picture style. Thanks for all you and Sarah do. Thanks for sharing your life in the great big outdoor woods. I love the videos and your ramblings. God bless and namaste. Stephanie. Stephanie? Appreciate reading that email. Thanks for sharing it, Stephanie. And I hope you're having fun in the snow in Florida right now. I've seen that on the news too. Snow on the beach in Florida. I guess they charged us too much frickin' tax money when it came to global warming, huh? They went a little overboard with their money. Changed it right up. Who's next? This is titled Forest People. Hello, Steve. I'm a long-time listener of your channel. I wrote a few years back and I did not know if it ever got read or not. So here's a more recent encounter I had in northern Arizona in the summer of 2022. I was operating a tiger cat skidder, harvesting timber out of the national, here we go, Coconino Forest? Coconino, Coconino Forest. And the way they spell and pronounce shit, who knows how it's pronounced. Coconino, I'll call it maybe. Maybe I'll call it the Coconino. One morning, arriving before daybreak, I parked and drank coffee leaning on my car. I began to hear whoops within 2 minutes and sticks breaks nearby. I could see fleeting dark shadowy movement in the ponderosa pines. It did not bother me, as I had seen this and more since I had been tagged in 1986. I used my peripheral vision daily, and my optic nerves were very healthy, as well as my neck muscles. And I say this because I was always avoiding destruction. Hitting trees with HD equipment. The Forest Service did not like it. Periodically, I began to see partial views of reddish-brown, hairy elbows, shoulders, and necks in my mirrors as I was busy at work. Once again, I had no fear. They were being playful was all. Wow. My AC did not work, but the fan did, so I blew dust around the cab with it. It was midday, 90 degrees, and I was covered in salty sweat and dust. And as I drove down a 2-track, I noticed 2 black liquid coated looking rectangular boxes about the size of a DVD player flying in unison together at eye level as I was sitting in the Tiger Cat. I rubbed my eyes as I stopped and watched the boxes speed off. I said, what the F? I went back to work. And this is where things get weirder for me. My new boss wanted to speak to me briefly, so I drove to his location, parked, and walked toward him. I had to walk 50 yards or so to get to him. I had to cross over a slash pile of ponderosa pine branches that were compacted down and used as a processing pad. It was a fairly large pile of 6 foot high and 40 foot long by 20 foot in width. And as I got a few feet across the pad, my right foot suddenly could not lift, and I fell forward. I was glad to see after I had sprung up quickly enough that my boss did not see me fall down. I was a bit irritated by this, as I'm very agile on my feet. I made sure I had good foot placement before taking another step, and as I moved forward, I literally felt fingertips grip my right foot toes and hold them. Once again, I fell forward, and this time my boss had full view of me going down. And on my way down, I glanced to my right. I had a millisecond. One more time. On my way down, I glanced to my right. I had millisecond movement, and I saw the big, hairy man with his right arm over his head holding up a lid fashioned from ponderosa pine/branches. His eyes were dark and very wide, open in a very surprised expression, along with his mouth and a big O to accompany the eyes. I hit the pad branches again, sprung up, and looked to the right, and there was nothing there. Later, my boss sort of laughed at me, and he said I still do that after years of being out here. I knew that I was a source of entertainment for the forest people. I'd actually forgotten the encounter for about 2 weeks and suddenly remembered it at a dinner one evening. And I was stunned at what I remembered. Vivid, still-shot pictures went through my mind. I remember the flying DVD player drones, the expression on the hairy man's face, the toe-grabbing falls, the early morning whoops, the reddish, hairy elbows, shoulders, and necks. I don't do drugs, I drink moderately, and I know what I saw. And as a kook now, I'm grateful for this platform, Steve. Use my name, my info's here too. I hear/saw other encounters as well, open to share. Patrick Edgley. Patrick, appreciate you, man. Absolutely appreciate you big time. I'm going to mark this as look into, which means you're going to be getting a hold of. Okay? Once we're home. I got a whole bunch. I'm going to get a hold of you, and we're going to talk. We're going to talk a lot, back and forth, one-on-one, all right? So yeah, I'm all over and hearing what you got. Appreciate you sending that in. Big time. Now, what else do I got? One more. This is titled Scary. Scarreeyy. I'm guessing scary. Hi, Steve, fellow knowers, and everyone out there. I'm 63, soon to be 64 years old. A few things, if I may, I wanted to get off my chest. First off, may God bless us all. I live about 30 miles or so north of Dayton, Ohio. I live along the Loramie Creek, Loramie Creek, or river as I call it. And 2 Thanksgivings ago, I was taking the trash out to be picked up the next morning. I'm pretty rural. And while walking back to the house, about 1/8 of a mile, I hear ungodly screams coming from across the river, less than 220 yards from my front door. Branches cracking or breaking, and more screams. I'm thinking they were dogmen or werewolves heading south for the winter. Definitely more than one of them. Probably lasted maybe 6 or 7 seconds, and it scared the shit out of me. The screams or yells were weird, scary. I usually carry, even around in the house. What? So my hand went right to my .44 mag grip, did not draw, but still scared the crap out of me. No shit, you pack around in the house. Crazy. Last year we lost 6 great producing chickens, so we're always on the lookout. We do got coyotes or coy dogs quite a bit. I just read the way it's spelled, you guys, all right? I read it word for word. Read it again. We do got, okay, I'll change the one word once. We do have coyotes or coy dogs quite a bit, raccoons, possums. When I was about 10, we heard a puma. Dad and I both thought as well. Heard about Bigfoot or Sabe when the Patterson-Gimlin film came out, never doubted that. And oh well, that's one of my encounters. November 2nd, last fall, I was burning out a tree stump. A big old willow about 6 or 7 feet diameter. Big fire at first, then stump, of course, burning up. And over a few days, I got it down to about 3 feet tall. And late one night, while throwing wood on the stump to take it out, I looked up, and there was a large, fluorescent blue cigar about 300 feet from me, maybe 100 feet up, crossing the river I mentioned earlier. Excuse me. It had to be at least 150 feet long, probably 30 feet in diameter, silent as a lamb moving west to east. A phone was charging in the barn, ran to get it, and when I got halfway to the barn, about 35 yards, it vanished, just disappeared. Was there 1 second, then gone. Crazy shit. When I was 13, a few of us were shooting b-ball at a park in the burg we lived near. About a mile away, we saw a TR-3B style UFO, TR-3B style UFO, approximately 100 feet up, whatever that is. Lights on each corner, red, yellow, and blue, steady, not blinking. It was close to noon on a Saturday or Sunday as it was summer and no school. It was moving north to south very slowly. We all jumped on our bikes and followed it about a quarter mile and then just zipped straight up and gone. We never even told our parents about that or even talked about it afterwards. I don't know why. I've asked a few of these guys that were there if they remembered that, and they said they can't. I think they're just too damn scared to admit what they saw. Well, that's about all I got for you. We'll let you know if I see something. Take care, be safe, watch your six, sir. Tim in West Central Ohio. Appreciate you, Tim. You watch your six, too. Appreciate that share. Now, I don't know why people refuse to talk. It's just can't handle it. They just can't handle it. It messes people up, right? It messes them up. I got another one from Scott Carpenter, another long one. I think maybe I'll share that for tomorrow. Yeah, because then I got 1, 2 with a sketch. I'll give you the preview. This is a sketch of something they saw. I'll share this one tomorrow because I think 1, 2, 3 emails from them in a row. All right, I'll do that one tomorrow. All right. There you go. Did it again. My little break. Oh. Now what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go gather up Sarah, get our shit together. And now it's pretty amazing. She's always hated doing the gym thing. She doesn't like it, and she started doing it on her own. I don't try to push anybody doing anything they don't want to do, but it's always been a part of my life. And she's been killing it. So she's right into it. So we've been going in there and beating the crap out of ourselves, and she's doing really good. So I'm gonna get her and then go across the road, get in there. And then after that, we'll probably go for a little bit of a walk around that lake. And I really, really hope I see that boy fishing with his dad with those fishing rods. And if they do, I'll take a picture of him if they want. That'd be cool, right? Pretty cool. It's pretty cool to know I was that kid. I was that boy. So I know exactly what that must have felt like. Maybe I don't know exactly, but close. You know what I mean? Who knows how far out of grasp a couple fishing rods and reels were for that boy and his son yesterday. I don't know how far out of reality, what the reality is about just how far out of their grasp having 2 new fishing rods with reels on would be. I don't know. But anyway. What else? I think that's about it. I got one little tidbit of news I'm going to share with you guys. I'm done sharing the emails for all those people that get pissed off from hearing me talk. I get an email. Well, I get emails every day. Every single day. I get requests to promote somebody, something, partnership, opportunity. It's nonstop. I've never answered one of them. Ever. And, but here's how I honestly came across doing this. I'm doing it once for the first time ever. I'm going to explain what happened. So, ever since the very first time they came out with trail cameras, obviously for me, seeing a trail camera, the only way I can describe my feelings and my reactions to that must have been like caveman seeing a big lighter. Oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. No way, right? I was so excited. I've been avidly tracking and figuring out buy tracks and other sign, big bucks and big everything else for years. But now I get to see them on a camera without me being there? No way. Anyway, I was the very first human being to get a stone sheep on a trail camera. So far back it goes, right? And I'm just saying this, I have had so much experience with trail cameras since they first came out and began better. It's ridiculous. I don't know how many trail cameras I've had. I've never promoted one ever. Everybody for years has been asking me, What's your favorite trail camera? Which trail camera do you use? What's your favorite one? And I've consistently answered every single time that the trail cameras piss me off equally, every one of them. I don't know why. These trail cameras, I have to put at least 3 minimum, sometimes 4, even 5 trail cameras on what I consider my most important trails, because I don't want to miss what's on that trail and when. And every single trail camera misses. Every single one. I had one trail camera I watched. Actually, I had 2 different brands. That B-roll I've been using lately with the black-tailed bucks with that doe, that camera. I had 2 other cameras on that same circle of timber. I had 3 cameras right there. One of them got all those videos. The other 2 didn't get nothing. And those are $200-something frickin' trail cameras, big name trail cameras. How bad is that? But that's the fact when it comes to trail cameras. And furthermore, I don't promote shit. I don't promote any products. I don't. Why would I do that? I'm going to promote your shit? I'm not going to promote your shit. You're going to promote my shit? Do you know what I mean? That's my attitude. I don't need you to promote my shit anyway. Here's the fridge flashing up if you hear that hum in the background. But anyway, make a long story short. So this last late summer, hunting season's coming up, and I'm going to go through all my trail cameras, and what I do is I put the batteries in, the SD cards in, and I line them all the way down in the shop so they can all get me when I'm moving in the shop. And I test every single one of them before I take them out of the woods. And sure enough, I think there's a bunch of Bushnells and some other ones. I think I threw out the equivalent of close to $1,800 worth of trail cameras last summer. Threw them in the garbage because I couldn't trust them. If I got a trail camera I can't trust, I don't want nothing to do with it. Off it goes in the garbage. Makes you sick. I got maybe 2 years out of them, maybe 3 out of a couple, and they just aren't that consistent. They're not good enough for me to even want to tell my friends or people online I'm using them. And I'm not going to promote some brand without them. They're not promoting me. I'm not going to promote their shit. Making money. So last summer, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go on Amazon, type in frickin' trail cameras, and I'm just going to buy random things I've never even heard about. And I think I bought 4 or 5 different trail cameras I'd never even heard about. And they were all less than half the cost of the trail cameras, the bigger name trail cameras I'd been using previously. Okay, the cost was half. Never heard of them. And I don't know how many I bought. 30 or 40 trail cameras altogether. And if I didn't find a trail camera that frickin' blew me away, right? Frickin' blew me away on the quality of, and this is how I judge a trail camera. Trigger, missing items, audio. I don't have to have audio, but it's nice. Nighttime clarity, the size of the nighttime night vision, the clarity of it, the clarity of the video itself. I like the higher quality. I want the best quality video or photo I can get out of a trail camera. And this frickin' trail camera blew it out of the park. All categories, I couldn't believe it. And it's the same camera that you guys seen, whatever it was that hit that rock or hit whatever it was, that tiny rock from who knows how far up the trail. 50 yards, I'm guessing, from the trajectory of that thing, and the camera triggered on that. What? And the audio, I can hear the deer grinding up the oats that I left on the ground in front of that camera. You hear him grinding up, right? Check out these videos. Anyway, and I said to Sarah, I go, you know what? If I was to ever promote a frickin' trail camera, this would be the one, right? This thing's amazing. So if I didn't get an email, I don't know, a week ago, excuse me, from the company that produces that frickin' trail camera, and they're from Europe, I think. asking me if I'd be interested in promoting a trail camera. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I looked into this, and I emailed him back, and I go, well, actually, I might be able to do that, maybe. We'll see. Actually, I've already used your trail camera, and I was pretty impressed. So they sent me some more information, and it's legitimate. It's not some Amazon thing or whatever. And there was two other fellas they were trying to promote their camera. One guy was from Germany or something, another guy from, I think, the States, and that's it. Nobody knows about this camera. And so I just got approved. Did a couple emails with them. They set the discount. They said, well, we're going to send you a couple cameras for you to test out, and then we're going to give you the 10% discount thing for your friends or whoever, the people who watch your shit. I'm like, okay. So there you go. There's a heads up. I am going to promote this trail camera. It's absolutely, without a doubt, the best trail camera I have ever used. You guys know me by now. I don't promote shit. Right? I don't need to promote shit. But it's a tough thing because I want to help my friends get the best shit they can with captures in the woods like I like to get, but I'm not going to go making somebody a shit pile of money that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a weird gray area there. But anyways, so they're going to give me a code, and then I'm going to share that with you guys. All my fellow hunters, outdoors people that want to use them, right? There you go. That's my babble for the end. Means something to some, not much to others. So share my story at howtohunt.com. Make sure you get me your truth. Be safe out there. Make sure you do what you love to do at all costs. And when you come across evil, expose it. Please tell the truth, okay? And if any of you are from Canada, I know you may not have interest, maybe. You do or don't have interest, but please go to my community page and find that video that I shared. And if you don't want to watch it, share it with as many people as you can. Just do me that one favor, okay? Because that's knowledge that needs to get out across Canada. Well, if not North America, but Canada for sure, all right? And I'll be back tomorrow, probably.